Hello, you're listening to Everyday Encouragement, Timeless Truth for Today, a weekly podcast designed to bring you snippets of encouragement to help you as you go about your day. I'm Jenny Guy, your host. The struggle is real. There is no denying that. Often, living in this world turns into simply trying to survive. Jesus told us to be of good cheer because he had overcome the world. What did he mean by that? We'll explore his saying today. Let's get started. There's a saying that life is hard and then you die. It's been attributed to several sources, and there are a few variations of it running around. Some would claim this is a very pessimistic outlook on life. Others would say that it's realistic. Regardless of which side you take, the saying is true. We will die, and before we die, we will experience harshness and unfairness. Even the most successful among us aren't exempt from difficulties and pain. Children die before parents. Long-term marriages disintegrate. Addictions break up families. Insufficient or no income kills dreams. Disease and sickness change loved ones into unrecognizable people. I'm sure you can add other troubles to this list. There are two contributors to our problems, life and the world. Often we may not take the time to distinguish between the two. Despite being closely intertwined in their interactions, they are separate entities, and there are critical differences between them. Life is a gift given to us by God, and it has qualities that belong solely to it. Qualities such as kindness, patience, love, forgiveness, tolerance. Problems arise when we don't exercise those qualities. On the other hand, to borrow Shakespeare's idea, it can be helpful to think of the world as the stage upon which we act out our lives. Like most stages, the world has its sets and props. We know them as our cultural, political, economic, and educational systems. Problems arise when we mishandle the props or forget that the sets are temporary. The world doesn't make it easy for us to live in it. It can be challenging to make it through a day. Often just trying to live turns into just trying to survive. So, I don't criticize the originator of that quote at all. I'd like to add, however, that I think the quote is incomplete. My version goes, "Life is hard, and Jesus helps me live it victoriously." In the hours before his death, Jesus told his disciples many things. Always a realist, he said up front that in the world ye shall have tribulation. There's no sugarcoating that statement. As long as we are living in this world, we will have problems. And not just frustrations or aggravations, but real, gut-tearing, mind-blowing difficulties, for the word tribulation means great trouble or suffering. But Jesus didn't leave that statement of fact dangling in the wind for his disciples, and by extension, us, to absorb and deal with alone. He finished by saying, "But be of good cheer, I have overcome the world." Huh? What did Jesus mean? How can he tell me to be cheerful when he has just told me that I'm guaranteed to have problems? And not just problems, but tribulation, suffering, great troubles. Trying to wrap my head around Jesus' encouragement to be of good cheer, I did what I usually do whenever I have trouble comprehending a verse. I look up key words in their original Greek or Hebrew and then insert their meanings into the verse to see how my understanding of it is affected by this new knowledge. Doing that with this verse, here's what I found. The word overcome in the Greek means to conquer, overcome, prevail, get the victory. The phrase to be of good cheer means to take courage, to be courageous, to have comfort, to have confidence, to take heart. So, putting together what I learned as I studied these words, the verse then read, "In the world you will have great trouble and suffering, but take heart and be comforted. Have courage and be courageous. Have confidence in me, because I have conquered the world. I have overcome it, prevailed over it, and have gotten the victory." While Jesus always said what he meant and meant what he said, his sayings weren't always easily or quickly understood. Even though I now had the original, expanded meanings of key words in the verse, I still needed to take one more step. I needed to understand what the words were also implying in order to receive the full impact of what Jesus was saying. When Jesus announced that he had overcome the world, he was letting the disciples and us know that at some point during his ministry, there had been a real conflict, a fight of some kind. The disciples may not have seen that battle, but it had occurred. Furthermore, by prevailing over the world and therefore its problems, Jesus was saying that he was more powerful than anything that could be brought against him or used to oppose him. In short, he had battled the world and its tribulations and emerged victorious. He was the conqueror. By overcoming the world and all it could throw at him, Jesus was declaring that there aren't any problems or troubles that he can't handle. Therefore, like the disciples, we can be confident in him and his ability and willingness to help us no matter what our situation is, no matter what struggle we face. The full scripture from which this segment comes is in John, the 16th chapter and the 33rd verse. It reads, "These things I have spoken unto you, that in me ye might have peace. In the world ye shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world." It takes courage to live in this world. We have to act courageously to execute our dreams and plans, especially when we're being opposed or criticized. Sometimes our courage fails and we stop moving forward. Jesus wants us to have confidence in his ability and willingness to help us carry on. We're living in the peace that Jesus gives when we resume making progress in front of our enemies. Sometimes we are knocked down by what the world throws at us. Because we've been knocked down before, it may be hard to get back up and try once more. No matter how many times we are knocked down or fall, Jesus wants us to rely on Him to help us stand and begin again. We're living in the peace that He gives when we get back on our feet and resume walking. Then there will be times when the grief the world hands us almost wipes us out. That's when Jesus wants us to look to Him for comfort. For His comfort enables us to go on living and begin hoping again. This too is the peace that Jesus gives us. So, let us be encouraged when we encounter the world's tribulations, for Jesus has successfully battled the world for us, and as its conqueror, He invites us to live with Him in His peace. I hope you heard something today that has encouraged you and possibly given you something new to think about that will motivate or inspire you. If you would like a PDF copy of the show notes for this episode of Everyday Encouragement, Timeless Truths for Today, visit my website at jguypublisher.com. New episodes are published each week on Wednesday. I hope you'll join me for another installment of Everyday Encouragement, Timeless Truths for Today. Well, that's it for now. Until next time, be encouraged.